What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to my weekly training vlog, documenting or really just talking through all of the training that I'm doing week by week in preparation for Ironman Texas coming up in April. This is week 10 of my training, and there are 11 weeks of training left before the big day. I am thrilled to be this far into the training, almost to like the halfway point, you could say. I'm pretty fatigued, day in, day out, feeling like this training is really my priority. Really starting to feel not necessarily overwhelmed, but I'm just glad there are only 11 more weeks to go. It almost feels like I am sort of getting to the hard part, if that makes sense. I know that the journey ahead is not going to be an easy one, and I think that getting started with the training was really exciting. Now that we're kind of into it, we're into this sort of middle period where a lot of the real work is going to happen in the next couple of weeks here. And then the few weeks before the race are really taking it a little bit easier, getting ready for taper and things like that. So let's dive in, talk about how last week went. Overall, last week was a pretty challenging week of training, and it was a little bit surprising because looking at it last week, looking ahead, I really didn't think much of it. I said, oh, there's not a huge workout this weekend, a couple of rides during the week, but I wasn't necessarily feeling like this previous week was going to be too tough, but it ended up being a pretty challenging week, and I'll talk through that here. So starting off on Monday, had a swim where the goal was to swim fast. The longest set in the whole workout really was like a 200 in the warm-up, and the majority of it was 100s and 50s. And I really did try to take that opportunity to go ahead and swim harder than I have been. I feel like I've had a few solid weeks in a row, getting to the pool twice a week, building up that swim fitness. And Monday's swim went pretty well. I was able to get through the whole workout. The pace I was doing on the 100s was faster than I have been in previous weeks. And ultimately that swim went pretty well. Moving on to the ride that day, it was an hour easy ride. Hopped on the trainer, got that done. And the day before on Sunday, I had done 2 hours and 15 minutes. Wasn't really feeling too bad. I looked ahead to the next few days. I had some other rides to do in the week. The ride on Monday was nice and easy. Didn't think much of it. Moving into Tuesday, I had an opportunity to do basically the same workout I had done on the previous Sunday. So just one day of rest in between Sunday's ride and then Tuesday's ride. And I kind of took it as an opportunity to try and do Sunday's workout a little bit better. And I'm pretty sure I was able to pull that off. If I look at, for example, the 45-minute zone 3 effort on Sunday, looks like it's right here, 45 minutes. My average was 2:55. And then on the 8-minute intervals, it was a 45-minute zone 3 and then 4 by 8 minute in zone 4. And then on the zone 4s, I was around 286, 293, 296, 305 for the last one. So moving on to Tuesday's version of this workout, same thing. Short warm-up, 45-minute zone 3, and then 4 by 8 minute zone 4. Believe I got a little bit higher, 257 average watts on that next crack on Tuesday. Just like 1 or 2 watts more. Not a huge difference, but a little bit better. And then the other intervals went pretty well as well. Almost like the exact same averages on Sunday and then Tuesday. And then the runs were very similar as well. Sunday's run was also 45 minutes easy. Did that one, 7:59 was the average, and the heart rate average was 147. Oh, that was a good run. I did that one with my son. And then on Tuesday, 7:49 at 146. So a little bit faster, and my heart rate average was a little bit lower. So doing those 2 very similar days of training, not quite back to back, was kind of interesting. Moving on to Wednesday. Wednesday was the beginning of what I really felt was a tough period last week. And Wednesday, I had a strength workout, went to the gym, and almost all of the movements on the strength workout that we did that day involved sort of bending and squatting. So everything from push presses, dumbbell front-loaded squats, Also had some lunges to do, head cutters, which is more squatting motions with a kettlebell. I was feeling it. Like by the time the workout was over, I could tell like my legs, my glutes. I was like, oh boy, like this is pretty serious. I've done a lot of work and I knew I was going to be feeling it the next day. And sure enough, even by the evening on Wednesday, just moving around was tough. I was like really sensitive to the touch. Basically, my butt hurt, like left and right sides, like the outer glutes were really, really sore and sensitive. And I knew the whole time on Wednesday that I'd have the exact same interval ride that I had done twice. I knew I had it again on Thursday. And originally my plan was like, let's try to see if I can, up the power averages on this third crack at that workout, see if I can do a little bit better on that 45-minute zone 3 and then try to do a little bit better on those zone 4, 8-minute chunks. But what happened on Thursday was easily one of the toughest bike rides I've done in a while. Woke up really sore from the strength training the day before and ended up posting much lower numbers than the previous two attempts at this. Like my 45-minute zone 3 was down to 251 from 257. Not that big of a difference like numbers wise, but I have to say just like the perceived level of exertion that it took to complete that 45-minute zone 3 was just like almost felt like twice as difficult as it had the previous days. Just I had to choose not to quit over and over and over, like almost on a minute per minute basis for that last 20 minutes of that zone 3 of just being like, hey, this isn't, I don't need to quit. Don't quit. Keep going. One more minute. Really very mentally and physically challenging. And then the 4 by 8 minute zone 4 sets, let's just say I was really glad I didn't have to run after this one because like I really felt like I was sort of anything I had left in my legs, I was putting out during these 8-minute zone 4 intervals. And my average power was more like a high zone 3 than a zone 4. I mean, I was at 280, 276. 260, and then I really, really kind of rallied for that last one. Did the last one at 291, which is in my zone 4, but this was a really tough day. Like this was a really hard workout. Just the perceived exertion was through the roof. Didn't have the run afterwards, but I did have my personal strength training later that day. Told my strength trainer that my legs were just like totally cooked, and we did mostly upper body work and core work. So Thursday was a tough training day, and then moving into Friday, I was still really sore. The workout called for swimming the distance at predicted Ironman pace per 100. However, when I got in the water and started swimming, it almost felt like I was swimming in quicksand. Just cumulative fatigue from the training I'd done to that point in the week. And I think I made a decision early on, like in the first 100. I was like, you know what? I really can't deal with the idea of focusing on a predicted Ironman pace today. I'm so tired and so fatigued here in the water that I'll just basically do my best. And that's what I did. I swam for 52 minutes straight and then had to get out and take a bathroom break and then did the last 35 minutes or so. So did almost continuously 4,200 yards, just that one stop. And the average pace, I think it was like a minute, just under 2 minutes per 100, which, for me personally is probably one of the slower iron distance swims I've done. I mean, just for some perspective, like I did my half Ironman swim race rehearsal in the pool at 129 per 100. So this is about 30 seconds off that sort of middle distance race pace that I was at in November. However, I knew that, I was not in peak physical condition for this workout. I was really sore, really fatigued, and really just took an opportunity to just do my best, swim the distance, and not beat myself up too much about what that pace was looking like. Ended up taking an hour and 21 minutes. I would love to swim on race day anywhere under 110. So even with this really fatigued, taking it easy approach, I'm only 10 minutes off really what I would like to do on race day. So, the numbers really aren't that bad. It's just the way it felt. And then that carried over onto the run. Got out of the pool, straight onto the run. And similar to the first 200 of the pool swim where I just felt like I was in quicksand, the run felt like I was running through molasses. I mean, my legs were so sore. I could jog pretty well, but I really didn't feel comfortable pushing beyond that jog. And so again, I just sort of took that as an opportunity to listen to my body, and I jogged the 45 minutes, took it as more of a recovery run, and my heart rate stayed super low. 127 beats per minute was the average. I mean, for reference, my zone 2 starts like up in the 150s, so really took this run as more of a recovery run. Pace was just under 10 minutes, and Friday was a very difficult day of training, like swimming through quicksand, running through molasses, being super sore. Moving on to next day, so February 1st, Saturday, easy pace run, 1 hour 15 minutes was the workout, and I really surprised myself on this one. I was able to kick it right into that sort of easy pace range, my normal easy pace range, heart rate under control. And I think the nice thing about this run is that I really picked up the pace for the last 3 laps or so. The last little bit of running there, I was averaging closer to 7:37 for that last little bit. And so a little bit shorter than my previous long runs, and I was able to pick up the pace without my heart rate going crazy towards the end, and then went and had a nice yoga session afterwards. So I think by Saturday afternoon, I was starting to feel a little bit less like destroyed from the week's training, and I was looking forward to getting out on the road on Sunday to do my long ride. And the workout yesterday on Sunday ended up going pretty good. Got out and actually did the ride on the road. First time going out on the road in weeks. Rode out to Alvin and back, pretty standard route. And I didn't quite get both of the zone 3 intervals done. The workout called for 2x40 minute. I did like one 40-minute and then one like 30-minute at zone 3. Of course, stopping for traffic lights and adjusting for, the conditions of the road. There's some areas on the route where you can't really go that fast through the town. There's a lot of stop signs and stuff, but did my best. And, the average power on the ride, just over 200. My average heart rate was very low. About 20 to 30 BPM lower than a similar ride on the trainer. And the temperatures were mid 50s, so maybe that was a big factor too. But I will say that even though my heart rate was low, the perceived exertion was still very high. Like within about 15-20 minutes of starting the ride, I thought that I was feeling more fresh than I was. The reality kind of set in, and I'm like, you know what? Just like, for example, like my cadence. What was my average cadence on this ride? Let's see. I feel like my average cadence was super low. Yeah, average cadence was 73. And honestly, just my legs were just torched. And getting up to anywhere near 90 RPM just like felt super unmanageable. What felt normal to me, which would normally be around 88, 90 cadence, I was coming in like 82, 80. So again, couldn't quite shake the fatigue last week. Pretty much every training day other than Monday and Tuesday were really tough. Moving into today, got back in the pool and had another chance to swim a little faster. And today's swim actually went pretty well. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel. It was 2 sets of 8 by 125. I've done this workout a bunch of times. It's the way you pace these 125s is you do 50 easy, 25 at a full out sprint, and then 50 at steady effort. So it's kind of like you start out easy, go as hard as you can, and then try to hang on to like a high moderate effort for that last 50. I did the first one today, came in under 2 minutes for that 125, and I kind of thought, you know what, I think today is the day. I think I can do every single one of these 16 reps. I think I can do all of them under 2 minutes, and I was able to pull that off, which felt really good. The last time I did this workout, I think I was more around like 208, 210 for these sets. So I'm happy with today's swim. I didn't quite feel like I was swimming in quicksand again. And I think that my average pace for that swim was about 136, which is much faster than a lot of my previous swim averages have been. So also did some strength training today. I have an app that my personal strength trainer has loaded up some workouts every day. I'm really trying to cram it all in, do everything that I can to get the strength training that she's programming in addition to the triathlon training that my tri coach is putting in. So kind of working with two coaches right now, and so far I've been able to kind of keep both of them happy and complete everything. Moving into tomorrow, a much needed break from these 2-hour interval rides. Tomorrow's ride is just 1 hour easy, and then a 45-minute run off the bike, probably another about 5 miles on that. On Wednesday, I have a speed run, and this will probably, I can't even think of the last time that I had a speed workout, probably back in October. This workout calls for 5 by 5 minutes at 10K effort with 1 minute easy. That's going to be tough. It's going to be eye-opening. I'm going to find out a lot about myself there in that first 5-minute interval. Can I run 10K pace? For me, that's going to be somewhere, just under 6:30 per mile would be ideal. Somewhere between, 6:18, 6:30, somewhere in the 6:20s ideally. Mentally knowing that I just have to do it for 5 minutes at a clip, I think will help. And I'm really pretty curious, honestly, to see what this is going to feel like on Wednesday. Again, I don't think I've run, I think I've maybe done 3 minutes at 10K pace as part of an interval run that I did a few weeks ago. Definitely not 5 by 5 minute at 10K pace. So that will be interesting on Wednesday. And then we have our group strength class in the morning. Thursday, I have 1 hour, 30-minute zone 2 bike. And I will also have my strength training that day as well. That's going to be 1 hour. Boop, boop. Put that in. Moving on to Friday's swim, a little bit shorter, 2,200 yards. Looks like some 50s, some 75s, and some 100s with a little bit of a pacing strategy. 2,200 yards, that's going to be probably the shortest swim I've done in a while. And then moving on to this weekend's long training. We have a 2-hour run on Saturday. Looks like we're supposed to use a 1-minute walk-run strategy, which means I'm going to be taking a walk break about every 10 minutes or so, walking for 1 minute to keep the heart rate down. With 2 hours on the plan, I will probably end up somewhere around 14 to 15 miles. And I'm optimistic that the last few miles are going to feel better on this one than they have on my previous runs that have been close to 15 miles. So hoping to feel better on Saturday's long run for 2 hours. And Sunday, finally, the last day of the week, big training day, 4 hours, 30 minutes of easy zone 2 effort on the bike. I'm definitely curious to see how this one goes. I don't think I've done a long ride recently where the goal has just been to keep my power and effort in zone 2, which is kind of like that easy training zone. Most of my longer rides have involved intervals up to this point. So I'm telling myself that yes, it's a long time. Yes, 4 hours, 30 minutes, that's a long ride, but I don't have to actually push the effort at any point. It's really just going to be about trying to find that comfortable zone 2 effort that I can maintain. And I'm really curious to see how that last 30 minutes is going to feel. I'm hoping that will feel okay. And I will get a chance to test out my long ride nutrition off the bike with a 30-minute easy run. So 5 hours, brick workout on Sunday, 2-hour run the day before. That is a 7-hour combined long training weekend. And the week leading up to it looks pretty chill, except for that speed workout on Wednesday. I don't really know how that one's gonna go. Like, I'm not gonna tell myself, I'm not gonna try to set the expectation right now. Just gonna go out there on Wednesday morning, do my little warm up, do my 10-minute jog, and then try to unleash the speed for 5 minutes at a time. So, yeah, that is the last week in a nutshell, and a little bit of a look at the week ahead. Overall, like I said, on track, but things are really feeling pretty tough. Especially last week, that Thursday bike ride was a killer. I think perceived exertion wise, that was probably one of the hardest rides that I've done in recent memory. Even though it was the same ride that I'd done twice in the previous few days, it just kicked my butt. And then Friday, quicksand, molasses, just my body was just really fatigued. But I still got the training done, and then the weekend's training went pretty well. So optimistic that this week will go well, and I'm absolutely going to be back next Monday with another update talking about how that week went. And I appreciate you tuning into these videos. I'm really thrilled to be providing these. If you're any questions about what I'm doing for training, any comments, please let me know. If you're getting anything out of these videos, I would love to hear about that as well. Really just, set out to try and sort of break this down on a week-by-week basis and provide anyone who's curious a look at, what goes into preparing for an Ironman. So I think that's all I have to say right now. I appreciate you tuning in, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.